Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tara, and if you're confused about where to start when it comes to stocking up your pantry, don't worry. I've compiled a list of 50 items you should definitely be buying in 2025 to make the most of your grocery budget. Because seriously, it is so expensive these days to shop, so we have to do what we can to mitigate the damage. Alright, we're gonna go in categories, starting off with grains and carbs. First off, we have rice. It's inexpensive, it's versatile, and it's a staple for so many dishes. It lasts forever in the pantry, and you can switch up rice in so many ways so it's not boring. If you haven't already, try fried rice or coconut rice. They're both amazing. Pasta is another carb that's extremely cheap, filling, and can be paired with various sauces and ingredients. From pasta Alfredo to homemade mac and cheese, pasta will never break the bank. And a lot of pasta dishes freeze amazing, so bonus points for that. Then we've got oats. They're affordable, a filling breakfast option. Well, not for me, I'm always hungry 20 minutes after oatmeal, but for most people it is. And oats can be used in baking and cooking in so many recipes. I make a lentil loaf recipe that's super economical and uses oatmeal. As well, burgers. You can always throw in some oatmeal to make them go further. Next up is flour. It's great for making your own bread, pancakes, or baked goods on a budget. Why buy store-bought when they're all too easy to just procure at home? Flour lasts forever in the pantry, and then you don't have to worry about stocking those other things. One of my favorite carbs is tortillas. They're cheaper than bread, versatile for wraps, quesadillas, and tacos. Also, they freeze well. Just put some wax paper in between each one so you can take out one or two at a time from the freezer. Pro tips when you live alone. Dried beans also make the list because they're one of the cheapest sources of protein. You can buy them canned, which I usually do just for convenience, but if you buy them dry and soak them, oh my gosh, the savings are through the roof compared to canned beans. It's up to you and how much time you have, but I highly recommend buying dried beans for your pantry. Moving right along to potatoes, they're inexpensive, they're filling, and they can be prepared in so many ways. You can make hash browns, you can bake them, you can mash them, you can fry them. They also freeze well once they're cooked. I would also say don't overlook sweet potatoes. They're nutrient dense and they're a slightly sweeter alternative to regular potatoes, but you can use them in so many ways. My favorite recipe is literally just to roast them, and then you mix some chickpeas with Frank's hot sauce and pour it all over top, a little bit of ranch, boom, cheap meal. Sweet potatoes, another one that you can actually boil and then freeze, and they're good to go. Next up we have bread, which is just cheap, filling, and great for sandwiches, toast, and more. Bread definitely has its place in a tight budget, especially if you don't have time to make it. I usually buy a couple loaves and I just pop them in the freezer. Last on our carbs list is ramen noodles. They're very cheap and you can dress them up in so many ways with veggies and protein to make a full meal. Even if all you do is just add a hard-boiled egg into a bowl of ramen, it really dresses it up and makes it feel like it's so much more expensive than it really is. The next category is protein, and this is where most people break the bank, but you don't have to. First up we have eggs. They're affordable and they're one of the most versatile protein sources. A hard-boiled egg isn't the most glamorous snack in the world, but it will keep you full. Scrambled eggs can turn hash browns into a full meal, and eggs actually last quite a long time in the fridge. You'll notice when you're buying them, it's usually like a month that you have to finish them up. So they're definitely something to buy regularly and stock on a budget. An overlooked protein is peanut butter. It's cheap, it's high in protein, and it can be used in sweet and savory dishes, or it just pairs well with a diced apple or crackers. There's also canned tuna. It is very inexpensive. You can buy it in like packs of 6. It's great for salads, it's great for sandwiches. Even if you don't super love tuna, you can buy like a package of the tuna helper and it's like a couple dollars, and you throw the tuna in there and you have like a whole casserole meal. It's super great. Next we have ground turkey. It's cheaper than ground beef, but it's just as versatile for any of the meat-based dishes that you might have in mind. And chicken thighs, usually cheaper than chicken breasts. They're flavorful and they can be used in various recipes. My mom used to say chicken thighs are the best buys. So next time you're at the grocery store looking for protein, remember that. I also put tofu on the list because it's an affordable plant-based protein and it's great for stir fries or soups. What I like to do is buy extra firm tofu and saute it with some onion, add some barbecue sauce. Seriously, it's like the cheapest sandwich filling or side dish, and it's high in protein while low in fat. Tofu is awesome, and usually it's only a couple dollars per block. It also freezes well. Then we have canned beans. They're already cooked and they're still budget friendly. They're easy to add to salads, soups, or tacos. Black bean tacos are just amazing, and you can throw them in quesadillas. All you need is a can opener and you're like 5 minutes away from making a meal. So I always stock canned beans in the pantry. Then we have lentils. They're extremely affordable, packed with protein, and they cook quicker than dried beans. If you stock red lentils, they can be poured into any soup or stew to add quick protein, and it barely changes the taste or texture. It just thickens them up a bit. Dried lentils also just last forever, so it's something I highly recommend stocking in the pantry and learning to incorporate in recipes. Vegetables is the next category, and I'd like to note this category more than the others will change depending on the season and where you live. Don't fear frozen vegetables either. They're often picked at their peak and their nutritional nutritional content is just as good as fresh. First up is carrots. They're cheap, they're long-lasting in the fridge, you can freeze them, and they're good for snacks or cooking. There's nothing like a good carrot soup. A 5-pound bag of carrots will never break the bank. Then there's onions. Those are one of the cheapest flavor boosters. They last a long time and they work in almost every savory dish. What I like to do is buy a cheap bag of onions and then suffer for a while crying while chopping it all up and then freeze them. They're just great to have in the freezer because you can just grab a handful for any soups and just start sauteing them. Then there's the frozen mixed vegetables. Like I mentioned, they're often cheaper than fresh. There's no waste. They're perfect for stir fries or soups or whatever you have in mind. They can sit in the freezer and live there, and it's just great whenever you need them. I also put cabbage on the list because it's actually really cheap. It lasts a long time, and there's so much that you can do with a green cabbage. You can make sauerkraut, you can make coleslaw, it goes in soups, you can just fry cabbage, you can make borscht. I make this like Japanese cabbage pancake called okonomiyaki. It's just like the best long-lasting vegetable in the fridge, I swear. It's like the best money-saving vegetable, cabbage. If you don't eat cabbage, definitely go buy some. And we have broccoli, fresh or frozen. It's nutritious, it's versatile, and it's usually inexpensive. Broccoli goes great with cheese. If you're making a pasta dish, just chuck some broccoli in there. You won't regret it. Frozen spinach makes the list too. It's cheaper than fresh, and it's easy to add to smoothies, soups, or casseroles, or a quiche. Frozen spinach is the best way to get your greens into a dish quickly, and it's super cheap at the store. Next up is bell peppers. They're often on sale. They add color and nutrients to so many dishes. Usually I can find a whole bag of them for like $6, and I make stuffed peppers and freeze them. You can also just saute them up, freeze those too. The next time you're having fajitas, it's all ready to go. It's pretty amazing. The other vegetable I put on the list is actually zucchini. When it's in season, it is so budget friendly. It's so good for so many dishes like zucchini boats or zucchini noodles. It even makes a great base as a pasta sauce. If you can grow zucchini at home, oh my goodness, definitely do so. The plants are so prolific, so it's one of my best choices for cheap veggies. Moving on to fruits. I put bananas on the list because you can buy them frozen and they live in the freezer. It's the best because you can still make banana bread whenever you want. You can pull them out for smoothies. It's perfect. Then we have apples because as far as a pantry staple goes, apples last quite a long time and they make a great snack. And if you find yourself with too many apples, there's lots of baked goods that you can make with them and then freeze them, like apple pie or apple crumble. Works great to use up a bunch of them. Frozen berries make the list because again, they're cheaper than fresh. They're perfect for smoothies, oatmeal, or baking. They're just great to have on hand. Next up, we have canned pineapple. It's cheaper than fresh and adds a tropical touch to savory and sweet dishes. I personally love to just crack open a can when I'm making pizza, put it on there. I know pizza, pineapple is controversy over that, but I'm Canadian, so I'm allowed to like pineapple on pizza. Last on the fruits list, we have grapes because when they're in season, they're affordable as heck and you can actually freeze them and they make a great snack. Talking about dairy and alternatives to stock, I would say milk or plant-based milk in the Tetra Packs are great. They're essential for so many recipes and drinks, and if you buy the store brand, they're even cheaper. We have cheese by the block. It's cheaper to buy in a block and shred it yourself than buy pre-shredded cheese. And yes, you can actually freeze it. I'll talk about how to freeze groceries to save in another video, but for now, I'm just going through the list of things you should consider stocking to begin with. Next up, butter or margarine. It's essential for cooking and baking, and store brands are often the best deal. Lasts a long time in the fridge. Don't know if you can freeze it, I've never tried, but I think you can. Parmesan is great for the pantry. It lasts quite a while, and it can be used to add flavors to pastas and casseroles, and even salads. Moving right along, we have like the generic pantry essentials like condiments. This is where you can go horribly wrong on your budget if you're not careful, so definitely be mindful and buy the store brand where possible, and ask yourself if you really need it. Like you can buy all sorts of marinades and curry sauces and all these things that come in a can or a jar, but do you really need them? Like ask yourself, would it be cheaper to make this at home, or am I actually going to use this up? It's all about self-honesty. First up, we have canned soup. It often goes on sale. It's a quick meal or base for stews and casseroles. I personally love just having a grilled cheese sandwich with tomato soup or some cream of mushroom soup with crackers, but I know you can also use those for many recipes. Like you can use cream of mushroom soup to make scallop potatoes or vegetable bakes. There's so much you can do, so canned soup is one I always have in the pantry. Pasta sauce. It's cheaper than making from scratch in many cases. It's perfect with pasta or as a pizza base. If you don't use up all your pasta sauce, you can also freeze it. I almost never use up the whole jar, so I always have an open one kind of floating around in my freezer, and that's why I always have it stocked in my pantry, because if you don't use it all up, then just freeze it. Tomato and pasta sauce freezes amazing. Then we have spices, store brand basics like salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, all of those good ones. Basic spices last a long time and they enhance any dish without breaking the bank. Onion powder on your eggs in the morning, cumin or chili powder when you're making chili. If you can invest in spices for your pantry, you are set. There's almost nothing that you can't make. If you can't afford to invest in every spice, I totally understand that. What I usually do as a shortcut is I buy things like taco seasoning or chili seasoning. Those spice packets are very reasonably priced, and I'll usually only use half and then I'll fold it over, clip it, and just use it for another meal another time. It saves saves on the sodium, and yeah, they're just great and cheap. Cooking oil is next. It's pretty much essential. It's great to stock up on. The store brand is usually the most affordable. Oil has gone up a ton in price recently, so definitely watch for sales on this one and stock up when you see a sale. Vinegar. I put white or apple cider or both. They're cheap. They're used for cooking, pickling, salad dressings. I personally love apple cider vinegar. It's not too expensive depending on the brand, and it's incredibly versatile. I use it to make all of my own salad dressings from scratch, and if you like to poach eggs, you should put a little bit of vinegar in before you drop the egg, and it helps it all hold together. So I will always keep some vinegar on hand. There's also a couple snacks and treats I definitely recommend putting in your pantry. Popcorn kernels is one. They're incredibly cheap as a snack option when bought in bulk and made at home, and everyone loves popcorn. Well, till it gets stuck in your teeth, but it's a great thing to have on hand. And crackers. I almost always have crackers in my pantry. They just go so well with those canned soups. Or if you have homemade dips you need to use up, crackers and tuna go very well together. They're just an affordable vessel for other things. It's great. I hope this list helped you for the next time that you want to go stock up your pantry and gave you some cheap meal ideas. Remember, staying frugal doesn't have to be painful. Get creative, and there's literally no end to what you can accomplish. Definitely watch the video I put on screen here if you want more recipe ideas. I'll see you over there. Take care.